Well, Gaffer, a week between matches, a bit of a rarity in the Championship. What's that allowed you to do this week?
I think it allows us to get some bodies maybe sort of recouped. You know, the 3 game week's a really tough week, particularly the sort of level of opponent we've had. And I think it allows the lads to get a little bit of rest early in the week, and then obviously gives a more prep time to build up for the game.
What have recent results done for the confidence of the group leading into the game against Cardiff City?
We needed just sort of belief, I think, in what we're doing. I think we needed, once we get all the players back, which we did in that little spell, I think it was important then we put some good performances and good results together. I think we've more than done that in the last week, which is really pleasing. And I think now we've got to go and try and kick on and make sure that we can try and sort of build and grow from that.
Can you give us an insight into when you're making your substitutions, live situations, match situations, what's sort of going through your mind and what you have to consider in those moments when you're sort of making those live decisions?
I think it would be more the state of the game, what's required. Do you need a goal? So do you need a more creative player? Do you need to see the game out, which means you need somebody who's very disciplined, understands defensively what their role would be, who you're taking in and who you're taking out, do you know what I mean, and try to get sort of combinations and people that complement each other. And also making sure, particularly late parts of the game, you don't want to lose all your height, because if you're hanging on for a sort of win the game, set pieces at that point become really important. Whereas if you need a goal, arguably that becomes less important. You know, you need guys that can unlock the door and sort of create that little bit of quality. So there's huge amounts of dynamic. I think the form that the lads are in leading up to the game as well, you know, who's looked really lively, who looks as if they're hungry and desperate to get an opportunity. Yeah, loads of things. We tinker with certain elements of our game, so there's a lot of consistencies with how we play. Our shape's the same, how we build relatively similar. How we press has changed in all 3 games. You know, so how we pressed against Sunderland changed to how we pressed against Leeds, changed to how we pressed against Middlesbrough. So, for instance, we needed the number 9 to do a lot of the work. You know, Lowe, he's young, he's mobile, he can get across the pitch. Whereas in Middlesbrough, it was a little bit different. You know, the number 9 basically took care of that centre-back and we jumped for the middle of the park. So you're relying less upon the number 9 to have to do a lot of the sort of work, shall we say. And then that's when Wesley's qualities can come in, because he can bully the centre-back, he can take the ball in, he can get us up the pitch, it relieves a bit of pressure. It means we don't need to risk our passes, we can go a little bit more direct. And also he doesn't need to be chasing centre-backs all across the pitch. You know, if we're going to do that, I think we've got other guys that are more capable of doing that. Where ideally I'd like the squad to get to is, or us as a group to get to, is that obviously it's sort of horses for courses type thing. However, what you can't do is you can't take in the importance of consistent team, you can't take in away the importance of sort of continuity and understanding exactly where people are going to be, and more importantly, like sort of having faith in how we do things as a team. You know, I think that's what we've done. But there is certain elements in certain opposition that have got specific weaknesses or specific strengths that you need to try and negate, and if you can negate them, I think you either highlight what they're not so good at, or you can take away what they're so good at, and then it becomes a much more level playing field at that point.
On the opposition, it's Cardiff City this weekend. What have you made of their start to the season, and what challenges do they present this weekend?
I think they're hard to break down. I think that they've been very good set plays, so I think that's something we need to focus on. And I think they've won some really close games. You know, I think that the last 2 matches they've sort of found more of a rhythm in terms of how they want to play. So yeah, it should be a good game.
We've seen what 3 wins can do for the team, but just how difficult is it to keep a run like that going?
It's tough, but like I said before, I think that momentum in the Championship is probably more appropriate than any other league that I've been involved in. I think that you really can put a good sequence of runs together, and it helps that the games come in quick succession. You know, because when that momentum builds and you're sort of believing in what you're doing, and you've got guys who can score a goal out of nothing, and you're sort of defensively solid as a unit, I think it can go a long, long way. So, yeah, listen, we've won 3 games in the bounce, which is great. This next game for me is a really important one, because we want to try and solidify being in the top half of the table. And if we can do that, I think it starts with this next game. If you look at quite a lot of things, you know, we've had to contend with, I think we've made more changes on and off the pitch than any other club in the league. I think on Saturday when we play Cardiff, I believe that we would have played everybody who's above us in the league so far this season. So we've still got a lot of teams in the bottom half of the table to play, and we've had a lot of injuries to contend with. So if we can win the game Saturday and, like I say, solidify ourselves in the top half, I think looking at where we currently are with everything that's happened, albeit I'm always going to be greedy and think we should have won some more games beforehand. But yeah, I'd be quite content that first third's over. We've got some really good fixtures to look forward to, and we look as if we're sort of starting to pick up and get a really good understanding of what we should be doing.